Antoine Dominique Domino Jr., known as Fats Domino, was an American pianist and singer-songwriter. One of the pioneers of rock and roll music, Domino sold more than 65 million records. Born in New Orleans to a French Creole family, Domino signed to Imperial Records in 1949. His first single, The Fat Man, is cited by some historians as the first rock and roll single and the first to sell more than 1 million copies. Domino continued to work with the song's co-writer Dave Bartholomew, contributing his distinctive rolling piano style to Lloyd Price's Lawdy Miss Clawdy, and scoring a string of mainstream hits beginning with Ain't That a Shame. Between 1955 and 1960, he had 11 top 10 U.S. pop hits. By 1955, 5 of his records had sold more than 1 million copies, being certified gold. Domino was shy and modest by nature but made a significant contribution to the rock and roll genre. Elvis Presley declared Domino a huge influence on me when I started out, and described him as the real king of rock and roll. The artist himself did not define his work as rock and roll, saying of the genre, "It wasn't anything but the same rhythm and blues I'd been playing down in New Orleans." 4 of Domino's records were named to the Grammy Hall of Fame for their significance: Blueberry Hill, Ain't That a Shame, Walking to New Orleans, and The Fat Man. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as part of its first group of inductees in 1986. The Associated Press estimates that during his career, Domino sold more than 110 million records. Biography. Early life and education. Antoine Domino Jr. was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, the youngest of 8 children born to Antoine Calliste Domino and Marie Donatille Gross. The Domino family was of French Creole background, and Louisiana Creole was his first language. Like most such families, the Dominos were Catholic. Antoine was born at home with the assistance of his grandmother, a midwife. His name was initially misspelled as Anthony on his birth certificate. His family had recently arrived in the lower 9th Ward from Vacherie, Louisiana. His father was a part-time violin player who worked at a racetrack. He attended the Louis B. McCarty School, leaving to start work as a helper to an ice delivery man. Domino learned to play the piano in about 1938 from his brother-in-law, the jazz guitarist Harrison Barrett. Early career. By age 14, Domino was performing in New Orleans bars. In 1947, Billy Diamond, a New Orleans bandleader, accepted an invitation to hear the young pianist perform at a backyard barbecue. Domino played well enough that Diamond asked him to join his band, the Solid Senders, at the Hideaway Club in New Orleans, where he would earn $3 a week playing the piano. Diamond nicknamed him Fats because Domino reminded him of the renowned pianists Fats Waller and Fats Pitchin, but also because of his large appetite. Recordings for Imperial Records. Domino was signed to the Imperial Records label in 1949 by owner Lou Chudd, to be paid royalties based on sales instead of a fee for each song. He and producer Dave Bartholomew wrote The Fat Man, a toned-down version of a song about drug addicts called Junker Blues. The record had sold 1 million copies by 1951. Featuring a rolling piano and Domino vocalizing "wah wah" over a strong backbeat, The Fat Man is widely considered the first rock and roll record to achieve this level of sales. In 2015, the song would enter the Grammy Hall of Fame. Domino released a series of hit songs with Bartholomew, the saxophonists Herbert Hardesty and Alvin, Red, Tyler, the bassist Billy Diamond and later Frank Fields, and the drummers Earl Palmer and Smokey Johnson. Other notable and long-standing musicians in Domino's band were the saxophonists Reggie Houston, Lee Allen, and Fred Kemp, Domino's trusted bandleader. While Domino's own recordings were done for Imperial, he sometimes sat in during that time as a session musician on recordings by other artists for other record labels. Domino's rolling piano triplets provided the memorable instrumental introduction for Lloyd Price's first hit, Lawdy Miss Clawdy, recorded for Specialty Records on March 13, 1952, at Cosimo Matas's J&M Studios in New Orleans. Dave Bartholomew was producing Price's record, which also featured familiar Domino collaborators Hardesty, Fields and Palmer as sidemen, and he asked Domino to play the piano part, replacing the original session pianist. Domino crossed into the pop mainstream with Ain't That a Shame, which reached the top 10. This was the first of his records to appear on the Billboard Pop Singles chart, with the debut at number 14. A milder cover version by Pat Boone reached number 1, having received wider radio airplay in an era of racial segregation. In 1955, Domino was said to be earning $10,000 a week while touring, according to a report in the memoir of artist Chuck Berry. Domino eventually had 37 top 40 singles, but none made it to number 1 on the pop chart. Domino's debut album contained several of his recent hits and earlier blues tracks that had not been released as singles, and was issued on the Imperial label in November 1955, and was reissued as Rock and Rollin' with Fats Domino. The reissue reached number 17 on the Billboard Pop Albums chart. His 1956 recording of "Blueberry Hill," a 1940 song by Vincent Rose, Al Lewis and Larry Stock, reached number 2 on the Billboard Jukebox chart for 2 weeks and was number 1 on the R&B chart for 11 weeks. It was his biggest hit, selling more than 5 million copies worldwide in 1956 and 1957. The song was subsequently recorded by Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Led Zeppelin. Some 32 years later, the song would enter the Grammy Hall of Fame. Domino had further hit singles between 1956 and 1959, including When My Dreamboat Comes Home, I'm Walkin', Valley of Tears, It's You I Love, Whole Lotta Lovin', I Want to Walk You Home, and Be My Guest. In 1957, Domino made an insightful comment, "What they call rock and roll now is rhythm and blues. I've been playing it for 15 years in New Orleans." Domino appeared in 2 films released in 1956, Shake, Rattle and Rock, and The Girl Can't Help It. On December 18, 1957, his hit recording of The Big Beat was featured on Dick Clark's American Bandstand. He was also featured in a movie of the same name. On November 2, 1956, a riot broke out at a Domino concert in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The police used tear gas to break up the unruly crowd. Domino jumped out a window to avoid the melee. He and 2 members of his band were slightly injured. During his career, 4 major riots occurred at his concerts, partly because of integration, according to his biographer Rick Coleman. But also the fact they had alcohol at these shows. So they were mixing alcohol, plus dancing, plus the races together for the first time in a lot of these places. In November 1957, Domino appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show. No disturbance accompanied this performance. In the same year, the article King of Rock and Roll in Ebony magazine featured Domino, who said he was on the road 340 days a year, up to $2,500 per evening, and grossing over $500,000. Domino also told readers that he owned 50 suits, 100 pairs of shoes and a $1,500 diamond horseshoe stickpin. Domino had a steady series of hits for Imperial through early 1962, including Walking to New Orleans, co-written by Bobby Charles, and My Girl Josephine in the same year. He toured Europe in 1962 and met the Beatles, who would later cite Domino as an inspiration. After returning, he played the first of his many stands in Las Vegas. Imperial Records was sold in early 1963, and Domino left the label. "I stuck with them until they sold out," he said in 1979. In all, he recorded over 60 singles for Imperial, placing 40 songs in the top 10 on the R&B chart and 11 in the top 10 on the pop chart, 27 of which were double-sided hits. Recordings after leaving Imperial, Domino moved to ABC Paramount Records in 1963. The label dictated that he record in Nashville, Tennessee, rather than New Orleans. He was assigned a new producer and a new arranger. Domino's long-term collaboration with the producer, arranger, and frequent co-writer Dave Bartholomew, who oversaw virtually all of his Imperial hits, was seemingly at an end. Jarvis and Eustace changed the Domino sound somewhat, notably by adding the backing of a country-politan-style vocal chorus to most of his new recordings. He released 11 singles for ABC Paramount, several which hit the top 100 but just once entering the top 40. By the end of 1964, the British invasion had changed the tastes of the record-buying public, and Domino's chart run was over. Despite the lack of chart success, Domino continued to record steadily until about 1970, leaving ABC Paramount in mid-1965 and recording for Mercury Records, where he delivered a live album and 2 singles. A studio album was planned but stalled with just 4 tracks recorded. Dave Bartholomew's small Broadmoor label featured many contemporary soul-infused sides and a few single releases, but an album was not released overseas until 1971 to fulfill his Reprise Records contract. He shifted to that label after Broadmoor and had a top 100 single, a cover of the Beatles' Lady Madonna. Domino appeared in the Monkees television special 33 and a Third Revolutions per Monkey in 1969. In 1971, he opened for Ike and Tina Turner at Carnegie Hall. He continued to be popular as a performer for several decades. He made a cameo appearance in Clint Eastwood's movie Any Which Way You Can, filmed in 1979 and released in 1980, singing the country song, Whiskey Heaven, which later became a minor hit. His life and career were showcased in Joe Loro's 2015 documentary The Big Beat, Fats Domino and the Birth of Rock and Roll. Later career in 1986, Domino was one of the first musicians to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He also received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1987. Domino's last album for a major label, Christmas is a Special Day, was released in 1993. Domino lived in a mansion in a predominantly working-class neighborhood in the lower Ninth Ward, where he was a familiar sight in his bright pink Cadillac automobile. He made yearly appearances at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival and other local events. His last tour was in Europe, for 3 weeks in 1995. After being ill while on tour, Domino decided he would no longer leave the New Orleans area, having a comfortable income from royalty payments and a dislike of touring and claiming he could not get any food that he liked anywhere else. In the same year, he received the Rhythm and Blues Foundation's Ray Charles Lifetime Achievement Award. In 1998, President Bill Clinton awarded him the National Medal of Arts. Domino declined an invitation to perform at the White House. In 2004, Rolling Stone magazine ranked him number 25 on its list of the 100 greatest artists of all time, in an essay written by Dr. John Domino and Hurricane Katrina. As Hurricane Katrina approached New Orleans in August 2005, Domino chose to stay at home with his family, partly because his wife, Rosemary, was in poor health. His house was in an area that was heavily flooded. Domino was rumored to have died, and his home was vandalized when someone spray-painted the message, "Rip Fats. You will be missed." On September 1, the talent agent Al Embry announced that he had not heard from Domino since before the hurricane struck. Later that day, CNN reported that Domino had been rescued by a Coast Guard helicopter. Until then, even family members had not heard from him since before the storm. Embry confirmed that Domino and his family had been rescued. The family was then taken to a shelter in Baton Rouge, after which they were picked up by Jamarcus Russell, the starting quarterback of the Louisiana State University football team, and the boyfriend of Domino's granddaughter. He let the family stay in his apartment. The Washington Post reported that on September 2, they had left Russell's apartment after sleeping 3 nights on the couch. "We've lost everything," Domino said, according to the Post. By January 2006, work to gut and repair Domino's home and office had begun. In the meantime, the Domino family resided in Harvey, Louisiana. President George W. Bush made a personal visit and replaced the National Medal of Arts that President Bill Clinton had previously awarded Domino. The gold records were replaced by the RIAA and Capitol Records, which owned the Imperial Records catalog. Later life Domino was scheduled to perform at the 2006 Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans. However, he was suffering from anxiety and was forced to cancel the performance, but he did appear to offer the audience an onstage greeting. In 2006 Domino's album Alive and Kickin' was released to benefit the Tipitinas Foundation, which supports indigent local musicians and helps preserve the New Orleans sound. The album consists of unreleased recordings from the 1990s and received great critical acclaim. On January 12, 2007, Domino was honored with Offbeat magazine's Lifetime Achievement Award at the annual Best of the Beat Awards, held at the House of Blues in New Orleans. New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin declared the day, Fats Domino Day in New Orleans, and presented him with a signed declaration. Domino returned to stage on May 19, 2007, at Tipitinas at New Orleans, performing to a full house. This was his last public performance. The concert was recorded for a 2008 TV presentation entitled Fats Domino, Walkin' Back to New Orleans. This was a fundraising concert, featuring a number of artists. Domino donated his fee to the cause. Later that year, a Vanguard record was released, Goin' Home, a tribute to Fats Domino featuring his songs as recorded by Elton John, Neil Young, Tom Petty, Robert Plant, Willie Nelson, Norah Jones, Lenny Kravitz, and Lucinda Williams. A portion of the proceeds was to be used by the foundation to help restore Domino's publishing office, which had been damaged by the hurricane. In September 2007, Domino was inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. In May 2009, Domino made an unexpected appearance in the audience for The Domino Effect, a concert featuring Little Richard and other artists, aimed at raising funds to help rebuild schools and playgrounds damaged by Hurricane Katrina. In October 2012, Domino was featured in Season 3 of the television series Treme, playing himself. On August 21, 2016, Domino was inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. The ceremony was held in Detroit, Michigan. The other inductees were Dionne Warwick, Kathy Hughes, Smokey Robinson, Prince, and the Supremes. He had received the Rhythm and Blues Foundation's Ray Charles Lifetime Achievement Award in 1995. His song, The Fat Man, entered the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2015. Death and loss of materials. Domino died on October 24, 2017, at his home in Harvey, Louisiana, at the age of 89, from natural causes, according to the coroner's office. Fats Domino was among hundreds of artists whose material was destroyed in the 2008 Universal fire. Influence and legacy. Domino was one of the biggest stars of rock and roll in the 1950s, but he was not convinced that this was a new genre. In 1957, Domino said, "What they call rock and roll now is rhythm and blues. I've been playing it for 15 years in New Orleans." According to Rolling Stone, this is a valid statement. All 50s rockers, black and white, country-born and city-bred, were fundamentally influenced by R&B, the black popular music of the late 40s and early 50s. He was among the first R&B artists to gain popularity with white audiences. His biographer Rick Coleman argues that Domino's records and tours with rock and roll shows in that decade, bringing together black and white youths in a shared appreciation of his music, was a factor in the breakdown of racial segregation in the United States. The artist himself did not define his work as rock and roll, saying, "It wasn't anything but the same rhythm and blues I'd been playing down in New Orleans." Both John Lennon and Paul McCartney recorded Domino songs. According to some reports, McCartney wrote the Beatles' song, Lady Madonna, in emulation of Domino's style, combining it with a nod to Humphrey Littleton's 1956 hit, Bad Penny Blues. Domino also recorded the song in 1968. Domino returned to the Hot 100 chart for the last time in 1968, with his recording of Lady Madonna. That recording, as well as covers of 2 other songs by the Beatles, appeared on his reprise album Fats Is Back, produced by Richard Perry and with several hits recorded by a band that included the New Orleans pianist James Booker. Domino was present in the audience of 2,200 people at Elvis Presley's first concert at the Las Vegas Hilton on July 31, 1969. At a press conference after the show, when a journalist referred to Presley as the King, Presley gestured toward Domino, who was taking in the scene. "No," Presley said, "that's the real king of rock and roll." Presley made a subsequent comment, "Rock and roll was here a long time before I came along. Let's face it, I can't sing like Fats Domino can. I know that," and added that Domino was a huge influence on me when I started out. About a photograph made of him and Elvis together, Domino said, "Elvis told me he flopped the first time he came to Las Vegas. I loved his music. He could sing anything. I'm glad we took this picture." Music pioneer Fats Domino talks about Elvis. Retrieved from USA Today. December 10, 2002. Domino received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1987. John Lennon covered Domino's composition, "Ain't That a Shame," on his 1975 album, Rock and Roll, his tribute to the musicians who had influenced him. American band Cheap Trick recorded "Ain't That a Shame" on their 1978 live album Cheap Trick at Budokan and released it as the second single from the album. It reached 35 of the Billboard Hot 100. Reportedly, this was Domino's favorite cover. It remains a staple of their live performances, including at their 25th anniversary concert and at their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2016. The Jamaican reggae artist Yellowman covered many songs by Domino, including "Be My Guest" and "Blueberry Hill." Jah Wobble, a post-punk bassist best known for his work with Johnny Rotten, released a solo recording of "Blueberry Hill." The Jamaican ska band Justin Hinds and the Dominoes, formed in the 1960s, was named after Domino, Hinds's favorite singer. In 2007, various artists came together for a tribute to Domino, recording a live session containing only his songs. Musicians performing on the album, "Goin' Home," a tribute to Fats Domino, included Paul McCartney, Norah Jones, Willie Nelson, Neil Young, and Elton John. According to Richie Unterberger, writing for AllMusic, Domino was one of the most consistent artists of early rock music, the best-selling African-American rock and roll star of the 1950s, and the most popular singer of the classic, New Orleans rhythm and blues style. His million-selling debut single, "The Fat Man," is one of many that have been cited as the first rock and roll record. Robert Christgau wrote that Domino was "the most widely liked rock and roller of the 50s," and remarked on his influence, "warm and unthreatening even by the intensely congenial standards of New Orleans. He's remembered with fond condescension as significantly less innovative than his uncommercial compatriots Professor Longhair and James Booker. But though his bouncy boogie-woogie piano and easy Creole gait were generically Ninth Ward, they defined a pop-friendly second-line beat that nobody knew was there before he and Dave Bartholomew created The Fat Man in 1949. In short, this shy, deferential, uncharismatic man invented New Orleans rock and roll. Domino's rhythm, accentuating the offbeat, as in the song, "Be My Guest," was an influence on ska music. Personal life: Domino was married to Rosemary Domino from 1947 until her death in 2008. The couple had 8 children: Antoine III, Anatole, André, Antonio, Antoinette, Andrea, Enola, and Adonica. Even after his success he continued to live in his old neighborhood, the lower Ninth Ward, until after Hurricane Katrina, when he moved to a suburb of New Orleans.